Time is of the essence. We must assist our allies.
Before I begin, I just wanted to say, on this day, 80 years ago, the bridge over the Rhine was captured. Before we get into our comparison on the topic that is called Which is Accurate, we're going to look into this article from South China Morning Post, and it's called New Assassin's Creed Game Sparks Backlash Over Historical Accuracy. Let's get into it. Now, with Assassin's Creed Shadow less than 2 weeks away, it doesn't show signs of cancellation because this new release date is set on March 20th, which I don't think this article covers the anniversary of the subway sarin attack. The first game series set in Japan of the coming installment takes place during the turbulent Sengoku period or the 15th and 16th century, allows players to control Yasuke, a real-life historical figure who has known to become a pop culture as the first black samurai. However, there's a little surviving history documentation of Yasuke's life. It's true, Yasuke believed to arrive at Japan from Mozambique with Portuguese priests, approximately around 1580, later served under Nobunaga as a daimyo, feudal lord, as the unifier of Japan. It is clear that some cultural toes have been trodden on with the game. Wonder why? Oh, so they didn't mention Thomas Lagley. That's good. In Japan, or in the game, Yasuke depicted as a powerful samurai warrior. Critics have argued there is no historical evidence for that assertion, that it is wrong to make foreigner one of the protagonists in a game about Japanese history. Matthew Thomas, Associate Professor of Pre-Modern Japanese Literature at Tokyo Sophia University, said he believed people are offended by the coming game had entrenched views. It is clear some culture have been trodden with the game. I'm not saying that the reaction has been completely reasonable. There are many groups in Japan have views of certain historic topics and that this pushes their button. Those groups tend to take conservative and even nationalistic approach to history, adding that a game which took liberties with Japan's past was bound to provoke their anger. Yeah, really? What was their first guess? There was a preview on the game posted on YouTube that attracted more than 93,000 comments, most of them skating. One comment read, "I pity for the Japanese people who have their culture and history stolen." Another added, "This is pure Asian hate to have a black dude as the main character instead of an Asian." Yet another post asked whether the developers would consider making an Asian character the hero in a story set in Africa. The game design also been criticized for depicting a real Shinto shrine in the game without obtaining permission from its caretakers. In one scene, the game preview, Yasuke seen entering Itate Yozu Shrine, located in Himeji City in Hyogo Prefecture, and destroying the altar. Media have criticized the depiction as being offensive to Shinto religious and showing disrespect for Japanese culture. If you borrow Japanese culture and history for business purposes, you need to respect it, according to a message in Senkai newspaper website read. If that's not possible, you can't just set a story in a fantasy country that resembles Japan. I think that any country would find it insulting to see their own temples being destroyed. A game set in a Christian world wouldn't allow destruction inside a real church. That's true. An official 1400-year-old shrine told the Senkai newspaper that it had not been contacted before the game was created, that it planned to take appropriate action. The official added that if a request to issue or to use images of the shrine had been made in advance, it would have been turned down. Okay, that's true. Okay, so I think we all know this. There's gonna be a lot. Similarly, representatives of Todaiji Temple in Nara have confirmed that they are in consultation with Ubisoft over depiction of the temple in the game. Although they have declined to provide any further information, it has been pointed that the Todaiji had burned down before Yasuke arrived in Japan and had not been rebuilt at the time the story takes place. Well, that's a news. According to Thomas, most history-based games are going to incorporate elements of violence in large part because that is the key part of the gameplay for consumers. While this time it was a Shinto shrine gets destroyed. Previous edition Assassin's Creed series have Catholic churches similarly targeted. Thomas said he expected the Ubisoft sales to suffer in the Japanese market. Yeah, they don't care. Their stock has been plummeted. Yeah, it's kaput. I understand that the developers did try to make some changes when some of these issues were brought up, but it becomes more difficult later into the process. I imagine the controversy will affect the sales in Japan because of the negative opinions are out there and are affecting public opinion. Not just that though, the whole people are now against this. Except woke liberals and journalists. Also shills. They're probably going to shield this game to the moon. Ubisoft has not responded to requests for comment from this week in Asia. However, previous statement, the developers said they select Yasuke to be one of the main game's main characters to allow players to experience Japan through the eyes of a foreigner. The company also emphasized that Yasuke's stories was open to creative interpretation due to the limited historical records about him. Additional general concern about historical accuracy, Ubisoft has stated Assassin's Creed is inspired by history but remains a work of fiction. It has also acknowledged sensitivity around culture representative and expressed commitment to ongoing dialogue to the community. Ubisoft is not going to listen. It's like less than 2 weeks away before that released. They won't listen. At this moment in time, I'm certain that every journalist, every shields are going to make a video how Assassin's Creed is good, return to form, the chuds are wrong, there's no such thing as historical accuracy, something like that. They're probably making it right now. When it comes to culture, you have to respect it. You know there's consequences if you disrespect a culture. Let me give you, for example, my country. There was one comedian named, I believe her name is Jocelyn Shah. Hang on, let me check. Yes, Jocelyn Shah. She has been reported to disrespect the victims of MH370. Want to know what happened afterwards? My whole country of Malaysia was uproar. They made it their mission to go after her because making a joke on that is not a sense of humor. It's crossing the line. Same goes for cultural appropriation, or any culture for that matter. It is crossing the line. I mean, how come you don't see Assassin's Creed Shadows made a culture on China? Or in this case, an Assassin's Creed Shadows set in the Three Kingdoms? Why is that? So, let's get into our comparison. Why do I think that Call of Duty Finest Hours can be historically accurate than Assassin's Creed Shadows? This is something that many people, well, in the battlefield, who says that if you don't like it, don't buy it because featuring women lesbian, like in Call of Duty Finest Hour did depict women sniper, and that is confirmed. It is quite true there are women snipers during World War II, but in other places like in the West, there aren't. But if there is, they're basically non-existent since most of them probably work with the OSS. Remains secret. Here's another thing. The Battle of Remagen, which took place on this time 80 years ago, the bridge looks, well, I could say pretty similar, pretty accurate. I don't know how big the Ludendorff Bridge is. Don't think it's going to be bigger or similar in Call of Duty Finest Hour, but besides the point. Now, the explosion during that time when the players had to attack and capture the bridge, there was an explosion. Well, to be honest, that really happens. Even though the bridge was still standing, and Americans managed to take the bridge, but 10 days later, March 17, the bridge collapsed. Within those 10 days, they managed to get at least, 25,000 troops, which included the 3rd Armored Division. And another thing is weapons and tanks. Tanks, the Shermans, their barrel is so long, which I don't think the barrel is that long. It could have been a 76 or 75 short barrel, but that's besides the point. As for snipers, the Monsenegant, their reticle or scope is accurate. 2 lines over here and 1 line pointing up like this. Now for the desert campaign, I know decal was accurate, they were there, but I think the most accurate way, it should be a Vickers. Character, again, not historical accurate, they're just mainly fiction. For cities such as Aachen or Remagen, that still remains to be seen because, remember, that's the old city. You don't know what it looks like back in 1944, 1945. It could have been different today. In conclusion, I think Assassin's Creed Shadow will probably fail, and hopefully Yasuke Similar is much better. So play that. Or if you want historical accuracy, let's play Call of Duty Finest Hour. Some parts in that game are considered historical accurate. Well, some at least. I think by the time of this upload, many shills and journalists, they're gonna try writing hit piece after hit piece saying that the chuds are wrong, there's no historical accuracy, or Japanese people love this or something. They're probably doing it right now.
Your might on the battlefield proved most impressive. With a little more training, you will be right up there with me in no time.
Leave a like and subscribe if you want woke or anti-woke detected, or you just want to see me play games. Visit my 2nd and 3rd channel up here or link in the description.